I'm Elizabeth Warburton and welcome to Series 5 of Property Elevator, the show where we give budding property developers the chance to pitch their deals to our 5 seasoned property professionals: Paul Mahoney, Ranjan Bhattacharya, John Howard, Helen Chorley and Nicholas Wallwork, or who we call our property investment angels. This show gives our pitchers the opportunity to walk away with a partner, or maybe even 2, who will bring not only finance but also knowledge to the deal, taking their property journeys to the next level. This is Property Elevator.
Hi, I'm John Howard and I've been a property developer and investor for over 40 years. During that time, I've bought and sold over 4,000 properties and I've developed in 78 different locations across the UK.
In your view, that's the realistic figure, £150 a foot. Whether it's realistic in our figures, that's different.
Hi, I'm Paul Mahoney. I'm the founder of the UK's leading property investment advisory company, and I've been an investor and developer for over a decade.
So I assume the 350 that's referred to here, is that the existing JV partner or is that you?
I'm Nicholas Wallwork, developer, mentor and globally published author of Investing in International Real Estate for Dummies.
It sort of looks like the perfect deal, but then you sort of get into the detail and I think it starts to unwind itself.
My name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I've been investing and developing properties for the last 30 years. I specialise in taking defunct commercial buildings and converting them to alternative uses.
The way you've presented it is fantastic. The way the options that you've presented are poor, and that's why these guys have said what they've said, and I agree with them.
Hello, my name is Helen Chorley, and as a former investment banker, I've been in finance and property for over 25 years. Talk me through that, because just intuitively it feels optimistic and low.
So here we are, our first episode of Series 5. Our pitchers have just started to arrive. I can see some really excited faces, but I can also see some quite nervous ones too. Let's take you to our first pitcher. I have a feeling you're gonna like this one. Tatiana, hello and welcome to Property Elevator.
Hi Lizzie, I'm so happy to be here, yes.
I'm really
Thank
happy
you for
to have
inviting me.
Tell us firstly where you've come from today.
I came from Bromley, so Kent.
Okay.
Not too far.
Yeah, not too far. And is the deal also in Kent that you've brought today?
It's actually in Surrey, so it's in Elmbridge. Not too far, but I prefer to venture a little bit out from Bromley, because Bromley is one of the worst councils. Not sure if you know about this.
Okay, bit difficult.
So, a bit long, I'd say.
Tell us then a little bit about the deal that you've brought.
Yeah, so it's a nice mixed deal. So there is a conversion part and a new build part.
Nice.
Existing property is a 5-bed house, which is going to be converted into 4 flats.
Okay.
And then on the side, we're going to build a pair of semi-detached houses.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
We're going to send you in now and we'll have a little chat when you get out.
Fingers crossed, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, thank you very much for coming in to see us today. Let's hear about this deal.
So this particular project is in Elmbridge, actually just on the border between Elmbridge and Weybridge. It's a nice big plot currently occupied by a 5-bedroom house. Overall, Ashley Road is a great location. It has access to good schools. It's a short walking distance to the train station with regular services to London every 30 minutes. And most houses on Ashley Road are selling above £1 million, sometimes above £2 million, which again is a good indication that it is in fact a desirable location. So the plan for this house to be converted into 4 flats, and there is a land to the side which you don't see on this picture, but you can see it on slide 3 on your packs, where basically the land to the side is where we are planning to construct a pair of semi-detached houses.
So let's get this clear. So it's an option?
It's an option, yes.
And how much have you got it for on the option?
The price is £1,450,000.
I would just like to ask you a question about what you're planning to do, because you're doing a flat conversion, and looking at the locality, it seems full of pretty substantial detached houses. Have you looked at the possibility of doing maybe 2 or 3 detached houses on that plot, in keeping with the other things in the vicinity, and getting potentially a higher GDV, because brand new luxury detached houses normally command a bit more of a premium.
Yes, no, absolutely. So there are several schemes which we can still look at. So in fact, we are currently looking at 8-unit scheme, although more flatted development. The key reason for this is we want to make sure that we don't destroy the existing use value, which is the first thing we usually try to do. So the current plans, they really respect the current layout of the house. They don't move the staircase, they don't move any structural walls. The utilities are pretty much where they are, which just obviously helps to reduce the build costs. And then we use the land for the site to the new build elements, which are houses. We can try a complete demolition and new build or some sort of extension, but we just haven't tested this out yet. Just opposite the site, there are quite small 2-bedroom houses. If you want to see how they look, you can look at slide 2, and you will be able to see the road leading to the site, showing you exactly.
And how much do they sell for, the 2-bedroom houses?
So these 2-bedroom houses are 70 square meter, and one is currently on the market at 565. And I've been told by the agent that it's under offer in excess of that. I received a lot of attraction.
Tatiana, lovely to meet you. I'm keen to understand the planning in a bit more detail. You said you can bring the value through the planning. I'm just going to challenge you slightly on that, in that you've had a failed planning application on this. Is that right? Was that your application that failed?
It was my application.
Okay, and there was
yes.
3 previous applications, I think you said between 2000 and...
Yes, yeah, there were 3 failed planning applications before 2010.
Yeah.
All were for one house, detached house, on the land to the site. Like that's what it was for. And all of them were refused because of the access road. You know, this road that you see on slide 2, it wasn't there at the time of the application. It was literally like a gravel tiny road. And there where these houses, 16 houses were developed, it used to be some sort of factory or something. And it since then has been developed into 16 homes. And as part of this development, they created this private road. So the access point is pretty much irrelevant at that point. Also, another reason why we didn't go with like a massively aggressive scheme, we just firstly wanted to establish the principle of development and some massing that would be already on the site. And when we went into planning, we thought we've created pretty much a small scheme compared to what potentially could be considered. And the planners, the first question they said, why do you not put more flats to the site? Why do you not make it bigger and put more flats? Because they are looking for affordable housing contribution, as far as we understood. We then, because Elmbridge is one of those funny councils where 9-unit doesn't apply, they ask for affordable housing from unit 1 as soon as you can see the profit above 20% GDV. So we've submitted the viability.
You know the way around that one, don't you?
Well, I don't know whether I know.
Don't show profit of 20%.
Yes, yes. So we've tried to do that as much as possible. They've hired their consultants who came up originally saying, no, you can't. You have more than 20% profit on GDV. So they wanted 80,000 contribution. Frankly, I don't see how I can take £80,000 with the price I secured. And my planning consultant was saying, let's just go on appeal, because actually we have done a response to their report, sent it again, showing the higher build costs, but some justification for low GDV around uncertainty, the current environment, etc. And they actually came back saying, yes, potentially it cannot be secured, but they wanted another independent valuation of the quantity survey report we provided. And at that point, the planning consultant told me, look, it's already an independent report and they want another set of fees. So we just felt it was...
Nicholas, I think you're going to get to the bottom of this, aren't you? Because it doesn't sound quite right to me.
Yeah, I think it's really strange to have a planning application refused on the affordable housing. They might just go against you and set it at 80,000 and pass it.
No, if you refuse 80,000, so that's what we've done. We said we're not going to pay 80,000, and we're not going to sign the legal agreement. And then, but in their policy, they actually have to look at planning separate to the affordable housing. So we were trying to engage them, say, well, you still have to give us comments on the scheme. And the planning case officer just came back saying, can you not do flats so that you can afford the housing? And we said, no, we are going to go for appeal.
I mean, it sounds to me that the planning authority are now property developers and are advising the rest of us what to do. I mean, it's amazing. Helen?
The fun and games of planning, I've got one of those myself at the moment. Have you finished your...
Yeah, no, I just wanted to understand that detail. I think it's an important detail.
It's unusual.
Because we're investing on the basis you're going to get this through on appeal.
It's an option agreement, so
Yes.
we exercise the option on granting of the planning and all these things.
Of course, we wouldn't exercise if it's
yeah.
not granted, yes.
Yeah.
So in slide 7, you can see all the considerations they have raised. And I guess the positive thing about this planning application that we had is that principle of development is now...
But you failed. That's the truth. You failed.
Yes, absolutely.
You failed.
We failed.
So
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's an appeal situation. Helen, what are your thoughts? Do you like appeals?
Oh, good God, no. Yeah, I've got something stuck in planning myself at the moment, so my heart is with you. I feel in your pain. Unsurprisingly, I have questions around the numbers. I really did like your spreadsheet.
Oh, thank you.
Certainly ticked my boxes on
Very
that
good.
front. Very impressive, as I would have expect of you with your background. So well done on that. It was specifically around the finance costs. So you've got 100k in there, and you've got a time frame of 9 months. Talk me through that, because just intuitively it feels optimistic and low.
In addition to the 12 months option term, we have agreed 4 months in between exchange and completion for mobilization.
Right.
So mobilization kind of is excluded from these numbers. And then in terms of the rest, you have 9 months for conversion element and then 12 months for the new build element.
Okay.
So there is actually a manual adjustment in this photo, because usually this spreadsheet works really well when it's either conversion or a new build. So I had to do a manual adjustment to add an extra 3 months for the new build element in there. So it does assume 9 months for conversion, 12 months for new build, and then 3 months for the sale.
So the finance would be drawn down what, as development finance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's going to take 12 months. So why is there just 9 months allowed?
So actually, the way that I have signed the option agreements is that there are 2 option agreements, one for the land and one for the main house. And I intend to keep it this way. It has stamp duty benefits as well to sell it, to buy it this way.
Okay.
So I spoke to my development finance provider, and they would be happy to basically, once it's completed, the main house, you can then refinance on a buy-to-let or on an exit
I would be
bridge
very
separately.
careful on the stamp duty thing, because if it's a linked transaction in any shape or form, no solicitor will allow that to happen.
Oh, no, sorry. It's when I'm saying stamp duty benefits, I'm allowing for the linked transaction to be treated as a linked transaction.
Okay.
So the only bit you're saving is the 3% of the, so on the land, you're not paying an extra 3% of residential surcharge.
All right.
So you need 660 grand to make it work, and you can contribute about 100. Is that right?
Yeah, I tend to propose up to 20%, which I think is sufficient for like skin in the game sort of
Do you?
approach.
You think that's enough?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, it's interesting.
How long is the option agreement, and what's the trigger point for exercising it?
So it's 12 months from last week, plus
Okay.
6 months extension in case any decisions are pending. We are planning to submit not just appeal, but another scheme in parallel.
I think the one thing that worries me is it's the time to get the planning and also the time to get the conditions all discharged, you know, so that you can actually start works. And ideally, it's at that point that you want to trigger the option. And then at that point, are we 15, 16 months away? And how do these build costs and GDVs look at that time? Because my perception is that building costs might be up and GDVs might not be up, they might be similar.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's true
my
for
concern.
most deals though these days, and that's why I was keen to do it as an option agreement rather than a subject
No, I
to.
That was the right thing
I
to
think
do.
that's the right thing to do. The one thing I would say is some of these appeals are taking a year.
Have you been involved in the planning so far?
Well, this first planning application they have refused originally. Basically, it took 6 months to cut the story short. It took 6 months, but it could have been sooner if we didn't have the hope that they will leave the affordable housing story separate, because we could have asked them to refuse and go to appeal a few months ago, but they started talking about.
I have to say, I think I'd question your planning consultant on that, because I like you, Nicholas. I
think it
I
could have
just
been dealt
think
with
it doesn't
on the
seem quite
secondary
right
issue.
to me. I think that could have been negotiated or done something.
Yeah, the planning could have been approved subject to
Yeah.
that agreement.
Yeah,
and
up
then
for me.
you could have
But
negotiated that
perhaps
aside.
we're wrong. We're not planning consultants here, by the way. None
No,
of us are.
no. And every borough's different. That's the
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah.
You know, and it's sometimes different planning.
And
Offices are different.
It can be very, very difficult. I think the
Yeah.
one thing Ranjan's picked up on is are the preconditions that need dealing with, and they can take now anything up to a year to sort out these councils. The councils are so busy. I accept a lot of it's conversion, which is a lot easier, but you've got some new build as well. I like what you've done with the conversion, kept it simple, kept the utilities in the same place. I like vertical splits, I have to say. It's a lot easier, they're easier to sell, slightly less, sound and firework needed, but I can see why you've done that. What do you think the property market's going to do in the next 18 months?
Transaction volumes are definitely
Volumes are going to go down, that's for sure. What do you think of prices?
Sure. I think we can expect up to 10% drop in GDVs. That's my fair
I agree,
opinion
and I think you're spot on. And how does that affect all the figures that you've done?
I've done the sensitivity to 5% fall in GDV,
but not 10%.
But not 10%.
Okay.
But
well, why did you not do 10% when it's when you've said 10% here and you put 5% in there?
I can't answer that question. I tend to show 5% sensitivity.
John, I think you're actually being a bit mean, because I think this is a good, rock-solid area, and not all areas fall by the same amount.
Listen, as Paul has always said, it's a micro market, isn't it?
Exactly.
And Paul's always said that, and he's absolutely right. So micro market, some areas might go up a little bit, other areas will go down. I accept that.
The fact that property prices have gone up by 15 to 20% over the past 12 to 18 months.
You haven't been here, actually. They've gone up to another 5. There's 25%
whatever
now.
They've gone up. They're microclimates, John.
Yeah.
How much have they gone up since I've been on holiday?
Well, 5%. You've missed out.
If you look at it from that perspective, 15 to 20% over the past X time frame, for it to pull back 10 isn't a bad thing. It's expected.
Yeah.
That no one should be worried about that, but it does worry me a little bit when we're talking about this development, because you take 10% off the GDV, you've only got 10% profit left. And between the two of us, that's only 5% each. And that's pretty tight to actually make any money.
I think it's fair, and we don't really know what's going to happen in the property market. I think it could fall up to 10%, in which case we just don't exercise the option. Like that's my take on it.
I wouldn't be so negative there. I wouldn't be so negative there, because if that's the case, you just go back to the vendor and say, look, the world's changed here, the market's changed, we need it 10% or 15% less. And you might be surprised. You've done a very good job so far with the vendor, and when things change, eventually everyone has to accept it. They may not accept it the first 3 months, but eventually they accept it. And the sooner they accept it, the less money they lose. I really like the type of deal. It's just the sort of deal I've done many of over my career. And you're very investable, very bright, very articulate. You know your numbers, which is great. For me, today, there's not enough profit in it for me. I'm looking at 35% net profit on deals because of the market, anticipate the problems that may occur. I might be totally wrong, and this area is a very good area. So for me, it's a no today, but it's a very interesting project, and I wish you luck with it.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd agree that there's not enough profit in it in this current market. It's very tricky. I think when you're dealing with a small number of high-priced properties, that potentially also adds quite a risk. You'll have, well, there's 3 in there, so 5 in total. It's not a big scheme in terms of the number of units, and it's a high-value scheme. I appreciate it's a good area, but a bit like London. London is often the first.
It's a great area, Nicholas. Yeah.
But the high-value areas can be the first to come down in a slowing market, but they are often the best asset for long term. So the question is, what will this do in 2 years, not in 6 months? I think we're focusing on the short term. And my gut feeling is it might be about where it is now. I think everyone's in agreement it's going to come down in the short term, but Brexit's getting unwound. We're hopefully out of the worst of the pandemic. We've got a new government. In 2 years, we could be booming again, when people start getting to grip with the economy. But that's not enough for me to invest in that level of risk, unfortunately. So I wish you well. I hope the planning does go through on appeal, and worst case, you could always flip it to someone that is prepared to take the risk before you build it.
Only if there's enough margin in it.
If there's enough margin in it still, yeah.
Okay. Helen?
Tatiana, it's so thorough, it's so well thought out. I really love your approach to this. I love your spreadsheet and I love your numbers. What I don't love on it is the finance costs and the risk on the time side of it. As I said, I've got something stuck in planning at the moment, so I've got my own headaches on those type of things, and I'm not keen to take on more at the moment, but I love you, and you are super investable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very much so.
Agree.
Thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, just to agree with what everyone said, I think you're very investable. I like, your thought process around leveraging other people's money and leveraging the right professionals around you. None of us are builders either, but have managed to make it work. I also think what Nick said is a sensible thing, given the fact the profit in this from a developer's perspective isn't super high. If you get the planning on this, you have the option and you sell it to a builder, then the profit in it for them is super high.
Exactly.
So that's maybe a good option for you. But from an investors and a joint venture perspective, I think it's just a little bit tight given the current market. So it's not for me.
All is not lost. Ranjan's next.
I wish you'd come to me with your previous deal, the permitted development 12 flat conversion. That would have been right up my street. I think the issue with this one is, no one knows what's happening to property prices. But what we do know is that it's going to be 12 months plus before you actually start any build works.
More than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
And in that time frame, we know that build costs are going to rise at a faster rate than the GDVs. So whatever figures we've got here will be less. It's very, very difficult to predict, a couple of years into the future. So for that reason, it's not for me.
Maybe come back next season.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, thank you.
See you again.
With the same deal.
Absolutely. Might still be there.
Might still be there.
Might be cheaper next year. Thank you so much for coming in today, and good luck with your deal. I personally would go back and try and reduce the price.
Tatiana, tell me then, how did it go?
Didn't go to plan, unfortunately, today. Didn't get any offer. I think the main reason was that the angels didn't feel there was enough profit in the deal.
Okay.
And obviously with the growing concerns on the property market crash, that was quite high on their agenda.
Okay.
And I guess the fact that it's an option agreement. So we are pretty much looking at 12 plus months before the funds are actually required. And with this growing uncertainty, they sort of felt that it was too long to wait.
So you still enjoyed the experience,
Oh,
which is the
absolutely.
most
I'll
important.
come back, in 12 months' time when the deal is ready.
We'd love to have
And the
you back.
property prices have gone up.
I hope
Thank
it goes
you.
really well.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean, she's super credible. She's thought about this. She's thought about all the angles. She said she's got other options. So I'm sure she'll go away and produce another 8 of these for different options for the building the houses, as you said, Ranjan.
Or flats. If she can get 3 flats on there, she might be getting the GDV up enough.
I mean,
Just tight.
it's a very what she's done is very simple, very straightforward, and I like that. Sometimes the more simpler deals are the better deals.
Yeah.
The one thing she didn't say is how do you can I de-risk it? And my de-risk would be, what can I let them for? Does it wash its face if we couldn't sell them? That's what I was wanting to hear from her. As any investor wants to know, what happens if it goes wrong?
Yeah.
Ranjan, do you agree with that?
I do.
Crikey, you actually agree with me. That's something, I suppose. Good.
I think this is... she's great.
Yeah, she is. And it just needs to be 200 grand less. And then I think
that's the frustrating thing about ones like that, is any of us would have given her the money for a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to partner with people like
Yeah,
that.
you do. Yeah.
But it's just a shame that particular deal.
Yeah. It wasn't quite there today. But I think she'll probably get some private investor on that personally.
The saddest thing about this, John, is that deal's not gone through because the council have been greedy. Rather than spurring on development in this country for small builders, which is exactly what they should be doing, they're stifling it.
Absolutely right. I can only think they've got their 5-year supply and they're not under the pressure.
Well, she said they were under pressure.
Well,
that's why they were pushing for more units.
Well, that amazes,
but they've stopped this development.
That amazes me.
Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
Where have you come from today?
I've come from Bristol today.
Okay, so not too far. So tell us a little bit about your property experience.
I've done quite a few BRR deals, which I've held, and that's been able to replace my income. And then I've moved on to a few development deals. So I've done a few infill plots.
Okay.
And I'm looking to take it to the next level and try and get some learning from these experienced angels.
So what's the deal then that you've brought today?
There's a row of 6 garages,
Yeah.
which we're looking to purchase, knock down, and build three-bed terraces.
And how much are you looking for today off them?
So today I'm looking for 215,000.
Yep.
I'm looking to offer 50% profit share. Yeah, just to build that kind of relationship to go on and do more deals.
Great. Well, good luck. I'm going to send you in and I will speak to you at the end. I'll have my fingers crossed for you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. So my name's Peter. I got into property after university and I've done 11 buy, refurb, refinance deals, which allowed me to leave my job and get into property development. During that development, the development involved, it was a derelict bungalow, a 3-bed bungalow on quite a sizable plot. So we extended using PD rights, went 6 meters back, converted the loft, and then we got planning to build a new build next to it. During that build, my window fitter obviously knew what my ambitions were, and he actually lived on the plot that I'm going to show you today. So he showed me this plot, so it's an off-market deal.
Well, he lives in a garage.
Yeah. So he owns the house to the right, and it's a row of 6 garages. He owns 3 of the garages and the land behind. The deal involves buying those garages, knocking them down, and building 3-bed terraces. Well, I spoke to local planning consultants and local agents, and we thought that the best scheme was to go with 3 beds.
Yep.
So we're thinking quick sale, build those.
Very good. So how much are you paying for the garages?
So looking at 12,000 each, with the land behind is in total 136,000.
And all that has been agreed, bought?
So 3. So I have 3 vendors signed up, agreed, ready to go. One of them is being a bit difficult, but I think I can negotiate him round.
In my experience, when you're putting a deal together, there's always one at the end who you end up paying double that you did the rest. Not always, but quite often, and that's something most of us have to do.
So the planning hasn't started yet, has it? You haven't,
No.
Have you spoken? I think there was a comment here from a planning consultant. Is that right?
Yeah.
Seems to think you'll be okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's quite a substantial bit of land behind, and it's wide enough to fit it in.
And the build costs, where have you got those from?
I actually had, because I've recently done a new build, my build cost came at £1,200 per square metre last year, and I appreciate that materials have gone up, but my engineering background and project management background, I believe that I can get kind of the £1,600 per square metre is quite conservative for me. So I think, that's kind of where I got that from.
So you're going to knock down these garages, and it's just essentially new builds.
That's right. Yeah, very simple. Yeah.
So you're planning to buy these garages outright, rather than secure an option agreement with the owners and then get planning. Is that the route that you're planning to do?
So without subject to planning, I think because the planning is very simple, it's very easy. I can't see why they would give the planning. I think
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, me too.
Peter, sadly, I've said it myself.
One big reason could be parking, because you're going to be losing 6 garages on the street and all the space in front of it. I can see the house on the right there. One of those garages is clearly for the house, and there's parking in front of it. So that'll all be allocated to the new houses. So actually the houses either side and whoever they are on the street, they're all losing parking. That could be a big reason they'll refuse. Sure. I don't know the detail, but that could be.
I mean, the very simple thing here, Peter, have you done a pre-app to the council?
Not for this one, no.
Okay, I don't buy anything, Peter, unless I have a pre-app.
Okay.
If I'm buying unconditionally.
Sure.
Because that gives you, it's not written in stone what they say, but it gives you a very good idea, and it gives you confidence and your bankers confidence, and more importantly, it will give us confidence.
Sure.
Yeah, and for the viewers, just the pre-app is the application before the full application, so they give an indication of what decision they might give you. That doesn't, unfortunately, commit them to anything, but you'd hope it would come back favourable, so you would have more confidence in the projects. I'm always looking to kind of de-risk projects, so...
You got that off. You've got that term off, eh?
So you've got one option to sell the plot with planning permission. You've got a couple of options there, or there's the build and the sell. Which are you erring on? Which are you favouring at the moment, and why?
Looking at selling the plot with planning permission does give quite a good return, and it's quick. I know you've heard this all before, but I believe that we could achieve better numbers on the build costs and therefore realise a better profit in the deal, which is why I've led with that one.
That's the sense I had, but from an investor's perspective, there's more risk in building out, particularly on time and on costs, and you've got a lower return than the quicker, much less risky sell with planning permission. So from my perspective, if I'm getting a higher return with less risk, that's a no-brainer.
Sure.
A no-brainer to me.
Just going back to the purchase, you said there's land at the back. Is that owned by each garage? Does it?
No, so it's the one owner, so it's the window fitter who owns all the land behind.
And three of the garages.
Oh, he's a smart cookie, isn't he?
And there's actually potential, so the houses behind have quite substantial gardens, so there is an extra bonus of maybe getting some more garden, to kind of build out those.
But also there's good space to those houses that won't restrict the planning application.
Very hard when you start negotiating with lots and lots of different landowners.
Sure,
very difficult.
I've got a question about the ownership, which is are these garages, the ones in individual ownership, are they attached to the houses, meaning on the same freehold, or are they held on separate titles?
They're held on separate ones, yeah.
So that's very easy to unbundle then.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
One thing that I see as you think you can sell the site for a third of the end value, which is pretty retro. It's a bit like what Ranjan's wearing today. You're going back probably 10 years with that. So a third used to be absolutely what everyone said.
Sure.
But that was probably 10 years ago. It's now more like, in my view, depending on what you're building, I know, it's more like 20 to 25% of end value.
Okay.
Now that makes quite a lot of difference because I love the idea of investing in you because you're very investable, very experienced. I like that, cautious, professional, and just getting planning and banging it out, trading it and on to the next deal.
Sure.
No one's ever gone bankrupt making a profit.
Is there any reason that you wouldn't buy it subject to planning or put an option on it? Is that not an option? Or
no, yeah, for sure. I think just for getting a lower purchase price, I think going around with a planning consultant.
Have you explored that at all?
With what?
So far as
offering
just trying to de-risk it a little bit, because obviously you buy them, you own them. If planning gets turned down, it's a bit of a disaster, isn't it?
Sure.
What are you looking for from us exactly?
So 215,000 for the purchase and the planning costs, and there's a bit towards construction as well. But we're looking at getting 100% development finance to build out.
Yeah.
And I'm offering 50% profit share because I'm quite keen to learn from your wealth of experience and build a successful property development company.
Oh, if you're that keen, I think I want more than 50%.
Are you able to contribute any funds yourself?
I can do, yeah.
I just think with something like this where there is the chance of it not going in the direction you hope, it's probably good from an investor's perspective, a bit more comforting from an investor's perspective to know that you've got some skin in the game and can't just walk away.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned that on your previous developments, your build cost was, did you say 1,200 per square metre?
Sure, yeah.
And now you've got, so 149 per square foot. That's what you've got it at. So for new builds, that's pretty cheap in the current market. How confident are you in that?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. The guys I work with are happy to work for a day rate, and I'm project managing, so I'm managing purchase of materials, managing.
So effectively are the builder.
So you're acting really as the builder almost,
As the contractor, yeah.
It's a lot harder to do on a full new build. It's quite a lot of work.
That's
a
plausible.
lot of work and a lot of knowledge there that perhaps you don't
He's
have.
got more qualifications than you have.
It's 10-minute drive from my house as
You
well.
don't have many qualifications I've got, John.
Not in this construction he has. Engineer. Are you an engineer?
Yes. My degree was in engineering.
What? It was. Touche. You're both as good as each other. I've got a degree in social engineering, but that's totally
social
different.
engineering, yeah. Well, mine was audio engineering, but it's still
You got a degree in
similar.
talking, Joe.
You put in 50, I'll give you the balance on the basis that you get a very positive pre-app.
Okay. So you make up the two.
We'll make up the 215 together. I'll put in 3/4 of it.
Okay. And you still want 50-50?
Still want 50-50.
Okay.
This one's a bit small for me, and the margins aren't that interesting for me personally. always look to de-risk everything with a pre-application, always.
Here's where I'm at. I think this is an interesting proposition, but I think that the way you've pitched it involves too much risk.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of make you a counter offer.
Okay.
I'd like to revisit the purchase prices, but subject to a maximum of 136k. My proposal will be we buy the plot, we basically put in some CGIs of the nice fancy 3 houses and put it up for sale as a site assembly plot for someone else to do the planning and all the rest of it. And 70-30 split my way, because we'll put up all the money.
There won't be any money to put up the way you're doing it.
What do you mean?
So you buy it?
So you're buying it.
We buy the garages.
Oh, sorry, I
we'll put up
misunderstood
the
you.
we'll just put up the CGIs of some nice
and bang it out to
and we'll bang it out as a site, as a site assembled site.
Yeah.
For them to put the planning in and do what they want.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I said to you the other day on another deal, and you've just copied exactly what I said to you 2 weeks ago when you phoned me for some advice. Anyway, do you know where Wiltshire is?
Of course I know where Wiltshire is.
Just checking, because it's outside the M25.
Oh dear.
I think Ranjan's offer is a complete waste of time. I think he's going to add no value.
No value.
That everyone's going to see straight through it, and you're going to be stuck with it. And when you could have been getting on with a pre-app and have the positive response of that, at least to show a vendor, possibly even get the planning through. Now, I think there is some negotiation that you need to do here to put this together properly, and I think I could help you with that. So, in the similar to Paul, if you can put 50 grand in, which for me de-risks the buying of the 3 garages there, and if we can talk to your contacts, who I believe we could pay a little bit more money for, and I think we should tweak the 3 garage purchases to a bit of a delayed completion.
Okay.
As we could exchange on them and then say we'll complete in 3 or 4 months, something like that. We can have the whole thing wrapped up by completion with planning, and then we're straight to land and development finance, and we can finance the rest of it. And we'll put in any top up, like Paul.
Okay.
But I've got the expertise in terms of planning. We're building 2 houses on a back plot with Craig, actually, who we've started.
Houses?
2 houses on the back of it. Well, it's a single house. We bought the house for, I think it was 750 grand. The 2 houses will be worth similar. It's going to make over £1 million profit, and he came on this show last season. So, I'll offer you the same as Paul, 50 grand and any top up needed.
Okay, great.
But I'll help that negotiation, make sure we can put this together.
Yeah, fantastic.
I can also negotiate.
Oh, we've got a fight on our hands already.
Helen.
So where I'm at, I'm doing something similar to this at the moment, and I know this is small, but an even smaller scale. And that slightly puts me off because I know the challenges and the timescales on this stuff. But it does sound interesting, and I actually do see the value of what Ranjan has offered, and that's slightly tempting me, something like that as well. But I have no interest in building this out.
Okay.
So I want to make that very clear.
Sure.
But I would put in the balance.
Yeah.
But I would be looking to, once there's a pre-app, then sell with pre-app.
Okay.
I don't want to build.
Okay.
You've really got a minute now just to think about which one you want to take, or none at all. It's entirely up to you. So
I think I'd like to go with Nick, if that's all right.
he likes being called Nicholas, by the way.
Nicholas.
Just
I don't mind. I don't mind.
But if he gets the deal, he doesn't mind Nick.
John, my friends call me Nick. It's only you. It's only you, and it's Nicholas.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yes, thank you.
So Peter, judging by your face, it looks like it was a positive result.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Excellent, so you got what you wanted?
Definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant, tell us what happened then.
Well, I think all the angels wanted a piece of the pie, so I had quite a few offers, which was good.
Yeah.
Decided to go with Nicholas. Really like his ambition, his energy, and I think he gave me the best offer in the end.
Why do they like him so much? It's unbelievable, Helen, isn't it? Well, he's got the same degree as you. We found out you got a degree for a start today,
similar
Nicholas.
degree. Yeah, I do have a degree.
And you found out that I haven't. So, well, everyone knew I hadn't, to be fair, probably. Ranjan, you've got a degree, haven't you?
Yeah, software engineering.
Software engineering, is that right?
Software engineering, something like that, isn't it?
I thought it might be something to do
computers.
with promotion.
Development.
Self-promotion, but obviously not.
Self-promotion, Bachelor of
YouTube.
Self-promotion.
Bachelor of YouTube.
Bachelor of YouTube Honours.
So the deal's the shops and uppers opportunity in a small town called Totton on the outskirts of Southampton.
Yep.
And my proposal is to kind of convert that into flats and retain some shops, and then see what the angels are interested in going for. There are 3 cases for that.
Okay.
So see what they want to go for.
Brilliant. So how much funding are you looking for today?
The highest case funding is around 750,000. And with the case 1, it's around 265,000. So yeah, let's see. So the deal basically involves shops and uppers opportunity, which is the property is located in a small town called Totton on the outskirts of Southampton. The ground floor was occupied by a bank, and the first floor was occupied by an education training provider. That was occupied till end of July. So the property is vacant at the moment. So the opportunity here is a permitted development opportunity to kind of convert the property into 5 flats to retain 2 shops at the ground floor, as per the plan attached in the pack.
How much are you paying for it?
According to the numbers, 201,000.
Purchase price?
950 or so. Yeah, purchase price.
Okay. And what are you looking for from us today?
I'm looking for the full funding, and I'm also willing to put my own skin in the game. I can put in 40,000 straight away. And as I said, you know, I have some properties which I'm waiting to liquidate. Good. So yeah, which I can.
So when you say you're looking for full funding, do you mean you would like us to purchase it together with your 40?
Yeah.
And then we finance the balance? Is that the idea?
Initially, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be about 160 plus costs from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And on the ground floor, I'm a little bit confused. Do you want to put in? You're putting the first floor into 5 flats, are you? Is that what you want to do?
Combine first and ground. So there are 3 flats on the first floor,
right,
and 2 flats at the back of the shop.
On the flats at the back.
Yeah.
You've been talking to Ranjan, haven't you? You know, a lot of the back end of shops, you know, they're not very attractive as flats.
It's a site-by-site thing.
What does that mean?
Well, there's on the same street you'll have bins at the back, and it's horrible. On some shops, it'll be quite pleasant. So
well, look, John's obviously got a good point, though. Sometimes it's not worth squeezing a flat into a certain location, whereas in London it probably is. Is this the high street of Totton?
It's the commercial main road.
Right.
It's not the city centre. It's just the opposite the road, the centre.
And are there shops on either side?
Yeah, there is a vape shop on the right-hand side.
Are they all let? Is there any empty shops?
No, they're all let. Yeah.
Okay.
Just talk us through what your plan is for the exit on those flats and how long this project is going to take.
So provide a light well through the roof in the property, put in a planning application forward for that. Once we have the planning approved and executed the light well in the property, then we can convert the property into 3 flats on the first floor and 2 flats at the back of the shop. And then we can apply for a permitted development. And then once we have that, then either we can retain the property, develop it in the first case, and sell it or rent it out, are the first and second cases. And in the third case, once we have the PD, we can just pass it on to a constructor to build it out.
Have you got build costs for doing the development? Have you?
I've been trying to arrange a viewing with a constructor, but I haven't been able to do that so far.
Okay.
I might have something tomorrow, but from what I have, so I've got a residential property, as I said, is kind of being done at the moment, and I've compared the numbers through that, and I've taken £120 per square feet as a estimated cost.
That's not probably that far.
And that's what I've done. Yeah.
All right. Good. Nicholas?
3 of the 5 requirements for permitted development are here under quite a high risk section, so that's parking. You said there's only nearby public parking, so probably not any on-site parking. There's a pub next door. As you know, acoustics is one of the tests of Class MA, which is noise from other commercial units in the surrounding area, and natural light, and you're suggesting a light well might need to be provided. So there's problems with all 3 of those. So 3 out of the 5 conditions seem to have fairly high risk components. And this is, did you say it was going to auction? Is that
yeah,
correct?
it's
on Friday.
It's best of offer.
Best offers, it's not
best
auction.
offer.
Oh, it's not
an
auction, it's
auction.
best offer.
Yeah, it's a best offer.
So you could do that work before exchange then
Yes.
to mitigate it.
Yeah, you can do your
Fine.
due diligence after you've
yeah,
agreed
that's
to
what I
buy
wanted
it.
to check.
Yeah.
And then Japanese knotweed next door.
Yeah,
How
so
close
as
is
per
that?
the picture shown there, at the rear of the next door property, there is, as indicated in the red, there is indication of a Japanese knotweed. What I've talked to the agent, they've said, they're doing their due diligence at their end. Can they really sell the property or not? That's being done as we talk. But what they said is, they're gonna most probably chop it off and then decide what to do next.
Is this the green that we see on the neighbouring?
Yes, at the back.
Yeah.
In the circle in red. Yeah.
Do you know much about knotweed?
I've Googled stuff and I know from internet.
Not good news. You can get a 10-year insurance policy on it normally, once it's all cleared. But it would put off a lot of lenders.
It can make it difficult to get a structural warranty as well.
Yeah.
Or make it much more expensive.
Yeah, it would do.
There's also the issue of if you're doing these as flats and you're looking to sell them on or do anything like that, or even remortgage them to keep them, you will need a 10-year guarantee.
Yeah.
And that will be difficult if this isn't sorted. What worries me is that's not in the control of the buyer of this unit.
Yeah, I agree.
And what we always say, if it's something out of your control, it is a problem. It is a problem. A couple of things on PD that I was going to ask Nicholas, who's the expert on PD.
Right. The only true expert on the panel.
I'll ask him and I'll correct.
Okay. Nicholas, on PD, is parking, I didn't think parking was an issue with PD.
Highways is, yeah.
Right,
So,
so not parking but highways.
And it depends
the
on
other thing
borough.
is, I've just done a PD in Norwich, just on a small office to residential, and it's next to a Chinese restaurant that I own as well. And they've pulled us up on smell.
That's not a requirement of PD,
No,
but
that's
it might
interesting.
come under general comments. I mean, the council are using PD now.
We've had to persuade them.
Just to put any sort of stuff in. They're pretty much conditioning it like a planning app, aren't they?
John, many of your deals may stink, but they can't hold it up. They can't hold it up.
Good.
They can't legally hold it up on stinking ground.
It's not a PD thing.
Okay.
Noise is mitigatable. You just, acoustic measures and all of that.
So that's what you'd have to do here.
So the
obviously,
property two doors down has
got
got
the
windows in the roof,
Yeah.
the pub,
Yeah.
and that's been approved before. So I know my sister-in-law works in Arup, so I had a chat with her, and they are doing an airport in Southampton at the moment, and they kind of use noise mitigation measures and put windows according to that. So
But they can afford it on a big scale.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What's your return on GDV in those, or what are the numbers? Have you worked out the return on GDV?
Yeah, return on GDV, because it's spread over 2 years, according to what I understand in the pack. So it's showing 30%, but that's spread over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be 15% pretty much in a year.
Okay. So it's pretty low.
It's pretty low.
PD isn't really my thing. I don't have the expertise that others on this panel have in that area. There are some risks which I don't have the expertise to help you mitigate, and I don't really know the area, so it's not really for me.
That's very honest of you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you for that.
For all those same reasons, yeah, it's not for me today, but thank you.
Thank you.
Two concerns really. One is the PD, and it all sounds very easy. PD, I believe, is getting harder to do. These other two guys, to be fair, Nicholas and Ranjan, I have to admit, know more about PD than I do. I just employ a planning consultant, funnily enough, who knows enough more than they do probably. But anyway, that concerns me that it hasn't got PD, and I don't like the fact of the knotweed, because that's not in your control, and that's concerns. So for those reasons, it's not a deal for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it
Thank
feels.
you for giving the honest opinion.
It feels like it should have PD easily, but there's too many things that are just a little bit trickier than your average PD. It's not a slam dunk PD, with no parking, with the issues we've highlighted. You've highlighted in your,
Yeah,
you've
you've done the right thing.
Good.
Yeah.
All like that.
Yeah, all of that's solvable. So I'm not overly concerned about that with the right DD before exchange. But the knotweed is on someone else's property. So to even get permission, they might be totally adverse to that. They might not want you to have access, and you've got a load of knotweed right next to your property, and it's then the lending that becomes a big issue.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about the lending. And if I want to sell off these 5 flats, the incoming buyers are going to know about that. They probably won't be able to get lending. So that's the one
You've actually
big sticking
explained
point.
it much better than I did.
Thank you.
Good that you raised
That's
that.
the main problem, I think, for me. So it's not one for me, but good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Knotweed is a massive issue. The other thing that I would bear in mind is that everything you want to do is feasible, is perfectly feasible. So where my firepower is where you're getting 30% return like you're looking at, but it's straightforward vanilla PD and you're in and out in a year, rather than getting 30% return and having a longer haul at it, because you're just halving your returns over time. So for me, I mean, this is feasible. Everything that you've described that you can do, you can actually do it. The problem is out of control knotweed, which scares out of me. I don't know why I can say that. That'll probably get beeped out.
You just did say it.
Yeah.
You just did say it. I'm not like you.
But the duration, I would urge you to look at deals where you make your profit on the PD alone, because you're in and out in 9 months, and if worst case 12 months, and then you're making returns.
I think you can find easier deals to do is really what we're saying.
Yeah. I take your suggestions on board, and I'll look
Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank
we
you.
do appreciate it.
Good
Thank you.
presentation, thank you.
Okay, so how did you get on?
No, it was a good presentation. I enjoyed the feedback that I got from all the angels,
Good.
which was quite nice. I didn't get the funding this time,
Okay.
but I'm going to keep looking for new ones and see what comes next.
Yeah, they can't hold up smell. We've got PD flats
Yeah.
next to a Chinese
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah, that's what this
Just
is.
noise, that's all they can do.
It does affect the value though and the ability to borrow.
It does and it doesn't. It
And the
depends what you're
saleability.
doing with them. We keep the whole building.
Yeah.
we
Well, if
finance
he's
it
trying to
on
sell the
Ranjan
loans,
flats,
keeps
then
everything.
it's,
I'm taking a
lenders
leaf out of
won't
his
like it.
book and I'm keeping
Yeah,
it. This-
yeah, of course. The other problem with this, by the way, is that the exit, this will make a good keep the whole building rental flats, because the flats will not do well on the sale market.
Yeah, that's true.
Some
They won't-
flats
they
will do
won't-
better
Maybe
on
HMO
rental
them as
than-
well to get some more
Sorry?
yield. HMO them.
Oh,
to give them more
HMOs,
yield.
HMO. All fed up with hearing about HMOs.
The best thing about the pitch, though, is I now know that you both own Chinese restaurants. So which of you are in the catchment of my house? So I get free
We're in a much
Chinese for life.
We're in a much better area than you.
Well, that's it for today for episode 1 of Series 5. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.